You ever get that itch behind your eyes, like the universe is trying to show you something, but it won't just say it outright? Like it's playing a little game, dangling a thread, waiting to see if you'll pull. Not loud, not obvious, just a whisper, a flicker, something off. And if you blink, you miss it. That's how the truth works, isn't it? Doesn't scream, just sits there, smiling while you stumble past it with your hands over your ears. Because most people, they say they want answers, they beg for signs, but when something finally shows up, raw and real and uncomfortable, they flinch. They back away. Call it crazy, call it coincidence, call it anything except what it is, a wake-up call. Funny thing about truth, it doesn't come dressed in a tuxedo. Doesn't arrive with balloons and streamers, doesn't hold your hand and ease you into it with a lullaby. No, it crashes through like an uninvited guest at your perfectly staged dinner party, muddy boots and wild eyes, knocking over the fine china while everyone pretends they don't see what's really happening. Because the truth, real truth, isn't pretty. It's not polite. It doesn't wait its turn. It shows up exactly when you don't want it to and says, hey, look closely, I'm what you're tasting. I'm what you've been avoiding. People like the idea of truth. They love to say they want honesty, transparency, enlightenment. But only if it feels good. Only if it plays by their rules. Only if it doesn't rip apart their carefully built illusions. They want the revelation without the demolition, but that's not how it works. You don't get new eyes without first gouging out the ones that only saw what was convenient. And the old ones, they're so comfortable, aren't they? Tinted just right to make the world look safer, softer, manageable, and that's the trap. Comfort. The biggest con there is, you live in your little box, your tidy life, every corner labeled and dusted. You avoid the questions that might unhinge the walls. You call it stability, you call it faith, you call it being wise. But what you really mean is you're afraid. Afraid that the truth won't just change the way you see things, it'll change you. And deep down, you know you built a home out of lies. Little ones, big ones, quiet ones. Some you inherited, some you crafted like art. Lies that made you feel okay when everything inside was screaming that something was wrong. So when the truth finally shows up, of course it looks like a threat. Of course it feels like betrayal, because it doesn't match the story you've been feeding yourself. The story where you're the victim, the hero, the hinders, understood genius, the one who always almost made it. And the truth. It doesn't care about your narrative, it just is raw, crooked. And you can't tame it with logic or explain it away with inspirational quotes. You either face it or you run. But the joke is, it never stops following you. You can ignore it, distract yourself, scroll, drink, pray it away, but it's always there. Waiting, and here's the real kicker: when truth comes disguised as disruption, it's doing you a favor. It's trying to save you from your own illusions. But it has to get your attention first, doesn't it? And what better way than chaos? That missed opportunity, that breakup, that job loss, that restless H at 3 a.m. That's not bad luck. That's a spotlight. That's the message: look deeper. Because nothing changes if nothing breaks. So it breaks. Not to hurt you, oh no, but to strip you of the mask you didn't even know you were wearing, but you fight it. You resist, you scream, why now? You try to glue the pieces back together, make it all look normal again. As if normal was ever the goal. As if normal didn't rot you from the inside out. You beg for peace. But peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from finally seeing what's been in front of you the whole time. The people who don't care. The patterns that repeat. The addictions you dress up as personality. The dreams you bury beneath being realistic. And the minute you let the truth speak, really speak, everything begins to shift, but not gently. Not like a sunrise, more like an explosion. It clears the room. The people who only liked the version of you that stayed quiet. Gone. The routines that numbed your mind. Shattered. The beliefs you held like gospel. Cracked in half, and in that wreckage you're not broken. You're free. Because now you can see. Not through someone else's lens. Not through fear. Not through survival. You see through the storm. through the blood, through the dirt, and what's waiting on the other side of that mess, that's yours. But you don't get to it by staying clean, you get there by choosing to open your eyes even when they burn. By recognizing that the truth doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. The version that's been screaming beneath the surface, begging to be seen, but suffocating under all the masks. And maybe, just maybe, this time you let it through. It's cute, really. The way people whisper their prayers into the dark, hoping something bigger is listening. They say, "Give me a sign," like the universe is a waiter taking orders, and they expect their miracle served warm with a side of reassurance. But when the sign finally comes crooked, unpredictable, shaking the walls of their little world, what do? They flinch. They panic. They turn away. Because the truth is, they weren't asking for a sign. They were asking for permission. Permission to stay safe, to stay small, to stay exactly where they are, but feel better about it. Signs aren't pretty little rainbows. They're often loud, messy, terrifying interruptions. They don't whisper sweet affirmations. They yank you by the collar and scream, "Wake up," but most folks, they're too busy. Scrolling, pretending, numbing. They think a sign will fit nicely into their schedule, won't mess with their 5-year plan. But real clarity, that's not polite. It doesn't knock, it breaks the lock. And it doesn't wait until you're ready, because let's face it, when are you ever really ready to see what you've been avoiding? They say, "I want the truth," but they only want the parts that don't rearrange them. The digestible bits, the truths that fit in an Instagram quote or a therapist-approved journal prompt. They want it to feel like an upgrade, not a demolition. But seeing clearly, that comes with wreckage. You can't carry your old self into a new truth. It doesn't fit. And the sign knows that. That's why it disrupts, why it arrives as heartbreak or betrayal or silence. You asked for it, clarity, and life delivered it wrapped in chaos. Because that's the only language it knows you'll pay attention to. But people run. Oh, they run fast. This can't be the sign, they say. It feels too wrong, too painful, too sudden. So they reject it, rewrite it. Say it was just a coincidence, just a bad week, just bad timing. But the sign, it doesn't go away, it lingers. It waits. It watches you buried under excuses and distractions. And it laughs because it knows. Knows that deep down you saw it. Even if you didn't want to. Even if you pretended you didn't, there's this moment, just a flicker when you know. Before the mind starts its little dance of denial. Before the justifications flood in like an army. There's a second where your soul recognizes what's in front of you. And in that second, everything could change. But most people don't stay there. They run to what's familiar, to the pain they've already made peace with. Because that new truth, that fresh sign, it threatens their identity. Threatens the role they've rehearsed for so long. And they'd rather keep the performance. Going than rewrite the script. You can see it in their eyes, the ones who know but won't admit it. The ones still pretending they're waiting for a sign when it's been screaming at them for years. Their job is draining them. Their relationship is a cage. Their dreams are rotting in the corner. But they say, "I'm just waiting on confirmation." No, you're waiting for comfort. And truth doesn't offer that. It offers change. And change is ugly before it's beautiful, loud before it's peaceful. It rips your comfort to shreds before handing you your freedom. And that's the trick, isn't it? You don't really fear not seeing the sign. You fear what it'll cost you if you do. You fear what you'll have to let go of, who you'll disappoint, how you'll explain it. You fear becoming someone new. Because the old version of you, the one who begged for clarity, wasn't built to survive the aftermath of receiving it. And you know that. So you stall, you overthink, you pray again, hoping for a different version of the same message. But the universe doesn't play that game. It sends what you need, not what you want. You think missing the sign is the tragedy, but it's not. The real tragedy is seeing it, knowing it, feeling it shake you to your bones, and still choosing to close your eyes. Still choosing to walk back into the dark and pretend you saw nothing. Because if you admit you saw it, then you have to act. And action, that means change. That means loss. That means no more excuses. And most people, they'd rather stay blind than be that honest with themselves, so they go on, searching, praying, wishing, all while ignoring the sign that's been right in front of them the entire time. Not hidden, not vague, just inconvenient, just real, just loud enough to be terrifying if they ever dared to truly listen. It's a strange little dance, isn't it? This whole thing about waking up. People talk about awakening like it's this grand, glowing moment. Some beam of light comes down. You hear choirs, your heart flutters, and everything becomes clear. Cute. Real cute. But the truth, it's dirtier than that. Louder, meaner. It doesn't come with warm feelings and butterfly kisses. It comes with a crowbar. Because when you really wake up, it's not gentle, it's violent. It smashes everything you thought was real and dumps the pieces at your feet like, well, what now? See, waking up isn't about feeling better, it's about seeing better. And once you see, oh, you can't unsee. The curtain drops and you're staring at the wires, the fakes, the masks, the lies you dressed up as comfort. You look around at your life, your job, your friends, your dreams, your thoughts, and suddenly they all feel like strangers. The version of you that accepted all of it, gone, evaporated. And now you're left with this raw, unfiltered version of reality that doesn't pat you on the back, it slaps you across the face. Most people don't want that. They say they do, they say I just want the truth. But they mean the soft kind. The kind that doesn't require them to burn down anything. Because real awakening, it costs you. It costs your excuses, your victimhood, your stories. You don't get to hold on to both your illusions and your freedom. One has to go. And when that moment hits, when the lights come on and you're staring at everything you've avoided, they want to go back. Back to sleep. Back to the lie. Because ignorance isn't just bliss, it's addictive, and that's where it gets interesting. Because once you wake up, the world doesn't change you, do the people around you. Still playing roles. Still wearing masks. Still saying what they think that you're supposed to say. But you can't play along anymore. You can't sit in rooms full of noise and pretend it's music. You can't look at fake smiles and say this feels right. Everything starts to itch. Every word that isn't real feels like nails on a chalkboard. And the worst part, you can't explain it. You try, but they look at you like you've lost your mind because you have. At least the mind that was trained to accept nonsense. That mind is dead now. Buried beneath the rubble of what you used to believe. And people don't like that. They liked you better when you nodded along, when you smiled at the lies, when you kept quiet to keep the peace. But peace built on pretending isn't peace, it's a performance. And now that you've walked off the stage, they don't know what to do with you. You're unpredictable. You're dangerous. You're awake, you start asking questions that make people uncomfortable. You start noticing patterns, energy, silence between words. You feel things sharper. You stop explaining yourself. And not out of pride, no, but because you realize half the time you were explaining, you were half that you were watering yourself down. Translating your soul into something digestible. And now, you don't have the stomach for it. You don't want to be digestible. You want to be real. Even if it means being misunderstood, even if it means standing alone. And here's the thing no one tells you: waking up doesn't make life so. It makes it clearer. And clarity isn't always fun. It exposes the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. Between what you thought you needed and what your soul is actually starving for. That gap. It hurts. It stretches, it burns. That's where transformation happens, not in comfort, not in ease. In that wild, disorienting space where nothing fits anymore, but people avoid that space like the plague. They want awakening to be a checklist. Meditate, journal, manifest, boom. Enlightened. But it doesn't work like that. Awakening is chaos. It's loss. It's grief for the lies you believed. It's rage for the time you wasted. It's tears for the parts of yourself you abandoned to be accepted. And when you face all that, when you sit in the fire instead of running, something strange happens. You don't burn up, you burn through the old stories, through the false identities, through the noise. And what's left, that's the beginning, but again, most people won't go there. They'd rather be numb than free, rather be accepted than authentic, rather sleepwalk through life with a crowd than wake up alone. And that's fine. But if you do wake up, truly wake up, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because now you see it for what it is. No more illusions, no more distractions, just raw, blinding truth staring you in the face, daring you to do something real with it. Funny thing about silence, most people can't stand it. Makes them nervous, makes them twitch. They think if there's no noise, no chatter, no something must be wrong. So they fill the gaps with small talk, with distractions, with lies dressed up as just staying busy. But silence isn't empty. Oh no, it's loaded, it's got weight. It's got teeth. And when you stop running long enough to sit in it, really sit in it, it starts talking back. Not with words, but with truth. The kind that crawls under your skin and reminds you what you've been ignoring. See, everybody wants clarity, but nobody wants quiet. You can't hear anything real over the noise of desperation, the noise of fear, the noise of trying to control everything so you don't have to feel how out of control you really are. But silence strips all that away. It's the mirror that doesn't blink. It shows you who you are when the performance ends, when the audience leaves, when there's no one left to impress. And you either face the reflection or you run back to the noise and pretend the silence never happened. People say they want guidance. They pray for signs. They beg for some cosmic direction. But they won't sit still long enough to receive it. They're too busy filling the void with their own voice, talking themselves in circles, overthinking everything to death, trying to outsmart destiny like it's some math problem that just needs the right formula. But it doesn't work that way. Not even close. The answers don't shout. They whisper. And if your life is too loud, you'll miss it every single time they keep moving, rushing, forcing, thinking if they just do more, push harder, they'll get what they want. But the thing they're chasing, it's not moved by chaos, it's not impressed by effort. It's revealed in surrender. Not giving up, no, surrender. Letting go of the need to control every step, every outcome, every piece of the puzzle. Because control is just fear dressed in logic. It's the lie you tell yourself so you can sleep at night, pretending you've got it all figured out. But deep down, you know, you don't. No one doesn't, yet that's the trick, isn't it? You think you're being strong by pushing through. But sometimes strength is shutting up and sitting down, letting the storm rage without jumping in to fix it. Trusting that maybe, just maybe, the chaos has its own rhythm, and you don't need to conduct the whole damn orchestra. You just need to stop pretending you're the conductor. Because the truth, half the stuff you're chasing wasn't even meant for you. You just wanted it because you thought it would make the pain stop, the emptiness, the fear of being invisible. But what if you're not invisible? What if the silence isn't ignoring you, it's preparing you? What if the reason everything's quiet is because something big is being built behind the scenes, and your only job is to shut your mouth and hold the line? Not because you're weak, not because you're lost, but because the next move isn't yours. It's being handed to you. And if you make a move too soon, you'll miss it. You'll sabotage it. You'll talk yourself out of something that was always meant to find you if you just sit still long enough to receive it. But that kind of waiting, it's not romantic. It's gritty. It's maddening. It's walking through fog with no flashlight. Trusting your gut when your brain is screaming at you to turn around. It's looking stupid to everyone around you because they want proof. And all you've got is a quiet knowing that doesn't come with a guarantee. That's faith, not the fluffy kind with inspirational quotes and dream boards, but the kind that rips you apart and rebuilds you in silence. They won't get it. Your friends, your family, your followers, their followers. They'll think you've lost your edge. They'll say you're not doing enough, that you're wasting time. But what they don't see is that the pause, the stillness, it's not weakness. It's alignment. It's the moment the chaos clears just long enough for something real to break through. But only if you don't ruin it by filling the space with your noise. Only if you can resist the urge to narrate every second of your journey like it's some show you've got to keep entertaining people with. And that's the challenge. Staying silent in a world addicted to noise. Moving with restraint when everyone else is sprinting nowhere. Listening to something deeper than logic. Not because it makes sense, but because something inside you knows it's time. Not your head, your bones, they know. And they've been waiting for you to shut up long enough to hear them. People don't want the truth. Not really, they say they do, but what they mean is they want a version of it that doesn't sting. They want the truth with soft lighting, a polite smile, and maybe a little background music to make it go down easier. But the real stuff, the raw, unsanitized version that tears through your comfort like a blade through silk. That truth doesn't come wrapped in pretty paper. It comes with blood on its hands. It doesn't knock politely, it kicks the door off the hinges and demands your attention. And the thing about that kind of truth, it doesn't wait for permission. You see the miracle, it's never what you expect. Everyone's looking for fireworks, big dramatic reveals, a sign in the sky with their name on it. But when it comes, it shows up like a whisper, like a glitch in the rhythm. A strange little shift in your chest that says, this is different, but people miss it. They're too busy looking for something louder, something shinier, so they walk right past the thing they've been praying for. They talk themselves out of it. They don't believe something that quiet could be that powerful, and that's where the joke really lands, isn't it? That the thing they've been waiting for has already arrived. It's sitting right there. But they're scrolling, they're talking, they're thinking, always thinking, in the miracle. It's just watching them, waiting, not offended, just patient. Because the miracle doesn't need attention. It doesn't need applause. It just is. And if you can't see it, well, maybe it wasn't meant for the version of you who needed all the noise. People think miracles are supposed to change everything. That they'll get the miracle and suddenly life will snap into place like a puzzle piece they've been missing. But what if the miracle isn't the change, it's the moment before the change? That split-second realization that maybe, just maybe, you're not broken. You're not cursed. You're not forgotten. You were just busy chasing shadows while the light stood still. And once you see it, that's when everything around you starts shifting. Not because the world changed, but because you did. But even then, people hesitate. They get scared. Because once the miracle shows up, they can't hide behind excuses anymore. They can't play the victim. They can't pretend they're lost when the map is sitting in their hands. And that's terrifying. Because the miracle demands movement, not the frantic, scattered kind, not the desperate grasping for control. It asks for the quiet kind of movement, the kind that comes from knowing, from alignment, from finally understanding that not every battle requires a sword, some just need stillness. And here's the fun part, not everyone will understand why you're moving differently, why you're suddenly walking away from things you used to cling to, why you're not explaining yourself anymore. You'll look ungrateful, unstable, maybe even arrogant. Because people don't like when you stop needing their permission. When you stop playing the role they've assigned you. When you stop being predictable. But miracles don't come to make you likable. They come to wake you up. And that awakening, it costs you your old self, your old circle, sometimes your entire damned identity.